Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We are here today with our latest and newest virus-based update. I want to let you know before we even get started that this may be my last virus update in some time. The reason why I say that today is that the story is not changing. Yes, it's evolving, but a lot of the information that I have given you, if you've been tuning into the podcast, has been spot on for the past 4 months. So if we look back at April, May, June, July, and August, we're looking at actually 5 months. If you've been following my podcast episodes and updates over those months, every single one of them have been on point for what has happened, what's going to be predicted next, what will be coming in the future. And the reason why I say that is not that I have any special ability or any way to be able to predict what is coming next, but I can tell you this: all of the information has been out there for us. The issue is this: the media is not reporting on it. So when I look at all the different statistics, all of the same ones that I share for you, the exact links so that you can follow along yourself, you can do that today. I just want to share it right off the bat with you. You can head over to stephencabral.com/1679. stephencabral.com/1679 for all of those updates. And here's what I want to share with you. We know, and we've known for some time, what is really going on, what the real numbers are. That's drastically different from what the media is sharing with you. Now, again, I always like to start out and say that this is not about politics. This is not about a dogma or belief system. This is actually being able to really push aside emotions and just say, what's really going on? What is the truth behind this? Who's most susceptible? What does the future look like for this virus? And I want to go over all of that with you today, but I want to do it in a very concise manner so that we stay on time for this podcast, we stay on topic, we stay on point, that I share with you the science, that I share with you the facts, that you can then verify yourself. And again, every time I've been sharing this with you, then the CDC or other government agencies reluctantly come out a few weeks or months later and say the same exact thing. And that's because eventually people begin to call them on it. And remember, the media is not your unbiased friend. They will report anything, and they will twist the truth in any way possible in order to continue to get you to tune in. That is their job. They are a business. They are not a nonprofit. They are not an unbiased source of actual news. What they do is they bring you topics that they believe will what's called open the loop. That means that they bring you a topic that you need to find out the answer to. But since they've already studied the psychology of this, they know that you're going to continue to tune in if they open the loop but don't necessarily answer the question. Or if they do answer the question, then they open the next loop. Let me give you an example of that. What they started to do from the very beginning is show you a little ticker on the side of the screen, and that was the actual death toll from this particular virus. And so people could see it increase every couple minutes globally. And then that would keep us worried, and we would stay tuned in because we get to watch the numbers increase and increase. Well, then we figured out there's some false reporting, and hospitals are being paid $13,000 just to admit someone with this particular virus, and around $30,000 if they were to use ventilators, etc. Again, we found that out. We, the people, found that out through other unbiased news outlets. Would they ever share that with you on the news? Of course not, right? Hospitals are a business as well. Of course, they're going to report these are virus cases, even if they don't test them, because what? They get an extra $13,000 per admitted person and $30,000 for a ventilator. Now we find out that ventilators actually do more harm than good. So here's what I want you to know. Is that, again, the media is not on your side. Now that they see the actual mortality rate going down. What did they switch to? Well, they've now switched to infection rate. But as you will find out on this show, why have we seen the infection rate go up? Well, it hasn't changed. Here's what's changed. The United States, as of today, I'm recording this on September 3rd. This will be out on September 10th. So this is just 1 week behind or so. Keep in mind, here's what's changed. The United States was basically worst in testing. Now, we've tested more people in the United States than almost the entire world combined. Let me repeat that. The United States has way more cases than any other country in the world. Well, why might that be? Because we've tested 85 million tests. We've done 85 million virus tests. There's 330 million people in the country. We almost have done more than all of the entire world combined. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. If you do that much testing, even on asymptomatic people, which, by the way, makes up 70% of this virus, they don't even know they have symptoms, and they get tested. Oh, you're positive. Well, we don't know if it's positive. Maybe it's negative. Maybe you got it again. Here's the thing. Regardless if it's positive or not, here's what I want to share with you, because I do believe this virus is real. I just want to put that out there. I do believe that this is real. I'm not a person who says this is made up, and I'm also not a person to say that this is nothing. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm trying to bring you is the actual truth, the real numbers, so that we can look at this episode. And then, yes, if I have to do another one because there's brand new updates or bigger updates, I will do that. But this is going to be the show that kind of serves as, here's what's really going on. Let's pull back the curtain. When you do 85 million tests, you're going to find a whole lot of cases. Now, the good thing is, for those people who actually care about the real statistics, that pushes the crude mortality rate way back, and it actually shows what the truth is, which is the infection mortality rate, which we know now that we've done all these tests is way lower than 1%, meaning 99+% of people are going to be just fine when they get this virus. And so I want to share that with you for very specific reasons, because we were lied to from the very beginning, saying that potentially billions of people would die from this. The other lie was this, is that the actual mortality rate was like 14%. And what were they basing that on? Well, they were basing that basically on nursing homes, right? And they were now, again, here's where it starts to get worse. When we look at the actual numbers, and I'm going to actually go into susceptibility, like who's most susceptible. When you look at the numbers, you see that the average age of mortality is 78 to 81 years old. And I've stated this before, but it really bears repeating. The average life expectancy is 74 to 77 years old. Now, do I want to live longer than 74 years old for a male? Absolutely. I really do. And I want to live it with vitality and health and all of those different things. And I want my parents to have the same, and I want your parents or your grandparents or you to have the same. So I don't think that we should necessarily die at 74, 77 years old or from the virus at 78 to 81 years old, right? I don't want that. So I want to protect all people. We'll talk about that during the show. This is not, oh, well, we're just selecting who gets to live. No, it's not about that at all. That is not what I'm saying. What we have to do, though, is we have to do this from a smart perspective. But we have to understand that the numbers do matter because, and I'm going to get to this, so I won't go deep right now. We're led to believe that everybody has the same chance of susceptibility. That is how the media keeps you living in fear. That is how they keep you tuning back into their show, their nightly news, all during the day, every single day. You know what they do with that? Then they sell more ads. The media has probably made more money, more profit from this virus than anybody else. They're the ones that stand to win the most in this particular race. That and, of course, all the other conventional medicine-based outlets that I'm not even going to get into on today's show because, again, I'm sure that I'll only be banned to a further degree. But it's crazy that you can be banned and censored, and I talked about this last Friday, or do I talk about this tomorrow? Let's see. I talk about this tomorrow in the show. A lot of people, I actually name their names that are being censored right now. It is unbelievable to me that you can be censored for simply sharing the actual statistics. I don't do anything on this show except share the actual statistics and link to them from the government's own website. And I've done that from the very beginning. I was linking to Johns Hopkins. I was linking to World Statistics. I linked to the CDC. I mean, that's half of the websites that I'm linking to. It's their stats, not mine. Why would you censor me and ban me for actually giving your statistics out to people? Well, it's because if they do that, then this whole semblance of fear begins to fade away. And then parents aren't terrified for their children to go to school. We don't have to live in fear of walking within 6 feet of one another. All of that goes away. And the government and the world governments all around the world, all the different countries, begin to lose their control that they are exerting over people. And that's a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing to begin to always give away all of your power, all of your freedoms to this group of people, which is a handful of people that get to make all of the laws and all of the things for you. And once it's set in stone, it's really hard to break that stone. And so I just want to be careful right now. Again, I want to be smart, but I want to be careful because this is not at all, like not even close to what we thought it was. So let me share again with you the real statistics. Here are the latest and greatest up-to-date statistics. All right, since August 1st, about a month ago, okay, that's what I have for stats. I'm about a month going back in this. We had, on the case, the week of 8/1, okay, August 1st, 7,249 deaths from this virus. I'm trying not to use the C word because it's only going to get me banned further. Now, 58,000 people died that week. On an average week, 56,000 people or so will unfortunately pass away, but that is part of this human existence. It's one of a few things that you cannot escape. And again, I say that unfortunately because I really do want to live forever. I mean, it's one of those things where if I can live the life that I'm living right now and I'm able to do what I love and serve people and be around good friends and family and all these things, then good. I want to keep that going. And of course, when it's my time, it's my time. But I know that it's not difficult. I should say it's not easy for any of us to lose a loved one. And I don't want to see that happen to anyone. I really don't. I know it's part of this human existence, but on a daily basis, about 8,000 people do die in the United States alone. So in the U.S. alone, 7,000 people died from this particular virus. But again, those same people with this virus that also had pneumonia in other cases was 9,783, which means that did they die of this virus or did they die of the complications from it, from other things like pneumonia, et cetera? We'll get to that, okay? So again, I am saying this virus is real. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a much deeper story to what's really going on. Okay, so the week of August 1st, 7,249. The week of August 8th, 6,575. The week of August 15th, 5,056 deaths. The week of 8/22, 2,511 deaths. I'll give you the week of 8/29. It's 460, but I will let you know in all honesty that number does increase over the next 2 weeks as they keep the records up better. But you go from 7,200 to 6,500 to 5,000 to 2,500. And let's just say the next week is, let's just be generous and triple it. Let's say it's 1,500. So what you're seeing is declining cases with people being out more and more because we had this spike in cases in July, all right? People getting all mad at all the people in Florida and mad at all the people in Texas. And I actually showed their statistics from the week before. Again, I'm not saying to be reckless and I'm not saying to be careless. That is not what I'm saying. We are dealing with people's lives here. So please, I don't want my words to be twisted because I am for keeping everybody healthy and safe. That is what I'm for. But we're going about this the wrong way. So what I'm showing, though, is even with all of the people being out and about, we are seeing declining cases. And here's the important part. We're doing more testing than ever. So if we're doing more testing than ever, we're not slowing down with testing. We're only doing more. So if we have more testing than ever and we have declining cases, then great. We're moving in the right direction. Do I still think that there'll be a spike this October? Yes, I do. And again, all of my podcasts, I never erase any of them. I never take any of them down. I was forced to take down my protocols page for the virus by FDA guidelines. So I did it. Again, I play by the rules. But none of my podcast, all of my content has never been taken down. I was forced to take down all of the supplement protocols on the show notes pages. I had to take that down, FDA guidelines. Again, I play by the rules. That's what they made me do. Okay, I'll do that. But my words, I can speak my words. Okay? Yes, they can censor me on social media, but at least if you go to StephenCabral.com, you can hear my podcast because it's my podcast, it's my webpage. So, and again, they can bury it like they did to Dr. Mercola. They can bury your podcast page on Google. And that's why, again, all of the rankings and all of that doesn't mean anything to me. I'm trying to reach the people that I can reach, and they will share it with people that they believe need to hear this. So here's the thing. I do believe that there'll be a real or fabricated second wave, third wave, whatever you want to call it, in October. I do believe that in the United States, but I don't want you to live in fear of that, and here's why. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're looking at susceptibility, right? And this is where the media goes wild, because if they told you the truth, well, then you wouldn't tune in. You would not tune in. Why? Because you wouldn't be living in fear. And that's my goal, is I want to keep you safe. Yes, be diligent, be careful, but don't live in fear, because there's honestly not a need to. So let me break it down for you. There's been news over the last month about blood type susceptibility to this virus. Now, if you don't know about blood types, you are either an A, a B, an AB, or an O. And if you've never heard about a person's blood type before, basically it is innate, so you're born with it. And we're really talking about the presence or absence, so basically missing certain antigens, okay? So an antigen, which are the A's and the B's, are molecules on red blood cells that trigger an immune response. So a type A blood type has an A antigen on the red cells and a B antibody in their plasma. Okay, so think about that. An A antigen on the cells and a B antibody in the plasma. Now, it's the reverse for a person that's a type B. A B antigen on the red cells and an A antibody in their plasma. And then people that are an AB have both an A and B antigen on their red cells, okay, all of those red cells, trillions of them, but they have neither on their plasma. And those with the type O have neither an A or a B on their red cells, but they have both antibodies present in the plasma. That's an important one. So an O, although it doesn't have any of those antigens on the red cells, they actually have both of the antibodies, which is why they believe people who are type O are less susceptible to the virus, okay? This is good research behind it. You can look it up. You can just type in, again, you don't need me to. I am here to bring you the truth, but you are able to research this as well. You can just type in blood type and the virus, just actually write out what the virus's name is. Okay, so there you are, and I'll try to link something up for you as well. I don't know what it will do to my website, but I'll try to link it up for you. Again, head on over to stephencabral.com/1679. Okay, so anything else I want to add to that? Well, here's the thing. They're saying that type O is less susceptible and potentially type A is more susceptible. Now, this does not correlate with mortality. So I want to tell all the people out there that are blood type A that it doesn't mean that your possibility for mortality goes up. If you've ever studied the blood types and you've looked at all the different diets and all those things, I'm not saying that I promote it or anything like that. All I'm saying is that you'll notice, whether it be Ayurvedic links to blood type or it be the Dhammo links to blood type, you'll notice that the type A has always been known throughout history to be a little bit more of a sensitive blood type, okay? Often associated with the Vata, but not necessarily. I know many people that are not a Vata body type and they're also blood type A, so it doesn't necessarily correlate. But as my mentor taught me, who was then taught by Vasant Lad, one of the foremost Ayurvedic doctors in the world, that there's sometimes a correlation. So just know, in general, sometimes the blood type A is just a little bit more of a sensitive individual. That's it, okay? Doesn't mean mortality increases, but potentially susceptibility. We already know, as I'm about to share with you, that does not mean at all that you're going to get symptoms, and it also doesn't mean that it increases your mortality. So I just wanted to bring that to you, and I'll link up more research if you're interested in the blood types and their susceptibility. Okay, so do know this. We know who is most susceptible to this virus. So please don't fall for, again, all of the media tricks of telling you, oh, this can affect anyone, anywhere, at any age. That is not true. I mean, that's categorically lying to you. Since there's one tiny shred of truth, they're allowed to say it. That's why. Why? Because it could affect anyone at any age. It could. Is the likelihood there? No. Like, that's the thing. And I'm going to share the stats with you now. So we already know, just like if we just look at the New York City statistics, that was basically the epicenter for the virus, the worst of the worst, people just leaving the city and really ravaging the city. We looked at it and we saw, okay, average age, right? Average age, 78 to 81. And it made up 47%. Just that population over 75 years old, just over 75. About half the population are those who died. They were over 75 years old, basically older than the average age of lifespan. Then if we look at people that were over 65, well, only 8% that of all the people in the United States, or we're looking at New York City as a microcosm of the macro, is only 8% were under 65 that died from it. And we're going to go over who died from in just a moment. And if you were under 45, it was less than 1%. And we knew that way back in April. Was anyone telling you that? No, they were not. They were not. I was. And again, the statistics aren't mine. Other people were too. I'm not the only one. But again, I'm committed to the truth. There's nothing to purchase here. There's nothing to buy. What we're looking to do is share the truth with people so we can put an end to the fear. We can be smart. We'll share what to do, but we can put an end to the fear. So now let's look at all of the people, though, who were the most susceptible that actually died from this particular virus. Those in nursing homes made up the majority. We know that they erroneously and egregiously put people, our parents, our grandparents, in a nursing home who had the virus and allowed it to spread to others. I mean, that is one of the most despicable acts that anyone could do. That's just absolutely horrible. But then the media ran with it, and they didn't tell you that it was happening in nursing homes. They just said, oh, massive outbreak, 14% mortality rate, whatever it might be, to scare you. Didn't tell you that it happened in nursing homes. They also didn't tell you that the reporting was sometimes off by 100% difference in statistics. Some nursing homes were said to have this many deaths when they don't even have that number of beds. And again, all of this you can look up. Every single statistics I'm telling you, because I have nothing to gain by sharing this with you. If anything, I have a lot to lose because this is against the popular thought. So why would I share something with you that's against the popular thought that most people are just going to say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a licensed medical doctor. Don't listen to him. I understand that. That is what I'm going to have to deal with, and I'm okay with that because I sleep well at night knowing that I'm sharing the truth with you. And again, all the statistics are there. Now, let me share something else with you. When we look at the pre-existing conditions that people are having complications from, it's cardiovascular disease, 13.2%, diabetes, 9.2%, chronic respiratory disease, COPD, other, at 8%, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, at 8.4%. These are confirmed death rates, and cancer at 7.5%. Already, months ago, they knew that less than 1% of people without any pre-existing conditions would die from this particular disease. Less than 1%. Were they sharing that with you? No, they were not. They were not at all. So I just want you to know that. They also don't talk about obesity and smoking as other factors. Autoimmune may or may not play into this. We don't fully know because we don't fully know which autoimmune-based disorders would actually exacerbate this particular respiratory, for the most part, illness. What they're also not sharing with you is that some of the children that have died, we're finding out now, if you look at Boston Children's Hospital has talked about this, that there's an issue. Again, when we say children are dying from this virus, please keep in mind, we're not talking about children. When we look at the statistics, I want to share this with you right now. The statistics, if you are 0 to 9 years old, the statistics say no fatalities. That's what it says. Because the risk is so small that it does not truly exist. So there will absolutely always be outliers, and that's the unfortunate part. There will always be pre-existing conditions. There's no doubt about it. But when they talk about children deaths, they're really talking about teenagers. And believe it or not, there is a connection between teenagers and the amount of vaping that has increased over the past few years. Because when children vape, when adults vape, you are breathing in toxic oils and fumes and chemicals and substrates. It is unbelievably harmful to your body, vaping. Vaping because it tastes sweet, all of those different things, whatever it might be. I don't vape. I'll never vape. Here's the thing. It's marketed to kids because it tastes sweet, or you can make the oil whatever flavor you want, and you blow out a lot of smoke, and so it looks cool, whatever it might be. One of the worst things that you can do for your body. And does it damage the lungs? Absolutely. Would damaging the lungs may make you more susceptible to this respiratory-based virus? 100%. Right? Absolutely. So, does the media report on that? No, they don't. Do they ever tell you that now is the time to work on cardiovascular disease? Now's the time to work on diabetes. Now's the time to work on high blood pressure. Do they ever say that to you? Has anyone ever told you that if you're going to work on your health, do it now? Other people have reversed their chronic-based health conditions. Why not you, right? Why not help a parent? Why not help a grandparent? Why not help yourself? Why not help your children, your family, your community members? Because if you can reverse those, well, then you're most likely far less susceptible to this particular virus. That's what the statistics say, because we're at less than 1% for everyone else. So now let's look at men and women Men, much greater chance of dying from this particular disease. Okay, we're looking at 61.8%, not total chance of dying, just when we look at 100% for men and women. Men make up 61.8% of the deaths, whereas women make up 38.2%. Now, there are more men with cardiovascular disease, hypertension, etc., and that could be part of it as well. Okay, I mean that's obviously part of it. Now, I already went over the risk of dying, the different percentages. What I want to share, because people have asked me to talk about this, it just came out a couple days ago. The CDC is saying out of the 175 plus thousand deaths from this particular virus, less than 6,000 were for people who didn't have a pre-existing condition. So when people said that, they said, you need to talk about this, you need to get out there. And I said, well, I will talk about that. And yes, now people are seeing that really it's people with a pre-existing condition that are most susceptible. But still, I don't believe that 6,000 is a true number either, because it's still much higher than 1%. And so I don't want to give people false information. But even the government has showed you that the real risk is the pre-existing conditions. The real risk is the pre-existing conditions. So what are we doing about that? Well, the truth is we're not doing anything. We're not doing absolutely anything. We are not bringing any information to the public that many of these conditions are lifestyle-based. Now, it doesn't mean that you purposely have done anything wrong. Most people have simply just listened to the news their whole life. That's the issue. They've just listened to the ads and the marketing. They've only listened to a conventional medicine doctor saying that, oh, it's just genetic, just take these medications. Well, I can tell you for sure that you don't have cardiovascular disease because your body lacks statins. You don't have high blood pressure because your body lacks beta blockers or diuretics. You don't have type 2 diabetes because your body somehow lacks metformin or anything like that. You could say, oh, well, my body's not producing enough insulin. Well, if your body's not producing enough insulin, and it did when you were younger, if we're not talking about type 1 diabetes, if we're talking about type 2, which is the majority of people with diabetes out there, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And also, look at all of the people that are able to reverse their type 2 diabetes. Okay? I'm not giving you the treatment protocol to cure any of those things. All I'm saying is look into it. That's it. Just look into it. Now, if we're talking about all of those people as highly susceptible and the people with chronic respiratory disease that have COPD that mainly smoke, why are we still smoking? We know that it increases cancer by thousands of %. We know that it can lead to emphysema, COPD, etc. Why are we still doing that? I know it's an addiction. Why are we not helping people with these things, though? Why are we just giving things after the fact? Why are we not sharing the real truth? People deserve to know. That is my thing. People deserve to know that certain nutritional supplements do work. I've already stated that about vitamin C. I've already stated that about zinc. I've already stated that about quercetin. I've already stated that about D3 if I haven't mentioned that, right? The susceptibility of mortality is greater than 50% if you're low vitamin D levels. Why aren't we giving people free vitamin D? We're about to go into the fall-winter season here in the northeast of the United States, the north of the United States, anything above really Atlanta, Georgia. What are we doing? Are we telling people to take vitamin D? And I'm not saying that this is the cure. I'm not saying that at all. But are we doing that? I don't think that we are. But the media could easily report that, and for less than $1 a day, you could take most of these nutritional supplements. And again, I can't provide you the plan. I can't do any of these things. What I'm sharing with you, though, is the truth. And I also want to say this, because I'm willing to look at anything. Why isn't the media reporting on the different pharmaceuticals they are using now that doctors are saying all over the United States and all over the world that do work? Why are they not reporting on that? Why are the people, the doctors, the medical doctors, the licensed medical doctors, why are they being censored? You can tune in more tomorrow. I'll talk more about that, right? So, and also, why do we keep telling people to wear masks when I just exposed that just a couple weeks ago, right? I talked about that on episode 1665, if you want all that information. I shared with people exactly what works and what doesn't. Why does the media keep perpetuating the fact that we should keep wearing masks when, for the most part, 99+% of them are not working? Why are we doing that? Why are we giving people a false sense of security that they can go out of their house wearing a mask that isn't really effective? Why should we say that? Now, again, in my opinion, I don't know if that's a bad thing, right? We're going to get to herd immunity a whole lot faster. And we know that there's less than a 1%, for everybody, less than a 1% chance of mortality from this. And that does not even include the people who are not as likely to die from this. This includes everybody now, right? Everybody. It's still less than 1%. Even the people with the cardiovascular disease, 78 plus years old, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to really understand that. And then the last part is this, and this is what I would share with you as well, is if we are not properly transparent with all people from the media, from the government, I do believe that as people begin to hear this information, they're not going to believe the government. They're not going to believe the media in the future, that's why I think that if you want to be a trusted source in 2020, 2021, you have to be transparent. People should be, and if not already are, the majority of people are mature enough to be able to handle the truth. And we have to have that because right now, nobody knows who to believe. But what I'm sharing with you are the true statistics. Nobody knows who to believe, though. So why are we not doing this? Let people know the truth. Let people know that the chances of mortality from this particular virus is less than 1% for all people, even those who are susceptible. And then why don't we also tell people that all of the people in that just less than 1%, 50% of those people are over 75, 78 to 81 years old. And then why don't we tell people that if you don't have cardiovascular, high blood pressure, respiratory, type 2 diabetes, obesity, or smoke, well, then your chances go even down even more. And if you're a child, and especially a child that isn't overweight or doesn't vape, then they go way down. So then that starts to alleviate people's fear, right? Why aren't we telling people that? Well, we can't keep the same level of control if we do that. We wouldn't be able to absolutely decimate entire businesses and industries. We wouldn't be able to enforce rules that we would never have been able to any other way. It begins to really make me question what is going on here. Who stands to win in all of this? Because I see so many people with massive levels of anxiety in my practice. I see high levels of anxiety in children. I read the statistics on increased businesses closing and suicide rates for people that were never susceptible in the first place. And again, in the beginning, I was actually someone that supported, let's close, let's do it for a couple weeks, let's try to really figure out what's going on, let's let hospital beds catch up, all of those things. I was in support of that because it was a precaution. But nobody said, let's keep this going for 5 or 6 months. Who voted on that? Especially as the truth was beginning to be learned in April, May. It was at that time where we simply should have said this, that the experts, the virologists, the epidemiologists. So the thing is, people are so attached to their dogma and their ego and their philosophy that they can't just say, listen, this was a prediction I made based on the data I had at hand. That data now has changed. So my predictions and recommendations change, right? Why can't we do that? Why can't we just say, okay, I was wrong. I did my best. I did it to protect people. Now, here's the real data. Here's what I'm recommending. I would give someone who said that so much more credit than someone that has to dig their heels in and continue to stick by something that we know is no longer truth. That's it. We know right now that very few people are at risk of dying from this particular virus. Does that mean that it's not scary? Does that mean that it's not real? No, not at all. Not at all. Because there still is a percentage of the population, and I would say a rather large one, even though it's less than 1% mortality, that will get it and will have complications, okay? We know that about a third of the people that they'll have complications. So what do? Well, maybe a sensible approach would be for those people that fall into the susceptible category, the same people, by the way, who would be susceptible to the yearly flu, need to take extra precautions. Is it fair? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not here to judge fair and what's not fair. What I'm here to share with you is that it is. It just is. You are more susceptible with cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes, obesity, smoking, COPD, and high blood pressure, okay? You're just more susceptible. You're also more susceptible over the age of 65, definitely over the age of 75. Why don't we help those people out? Why don't we have food delivery for them? Why don't we have more people helping them out? Why don't we give those people free N95 masks? So when they do have to go out, well, they could put on non-latex gloves and they could put on an N95 mask. Why not? Why not give those people those resources? It's such a small investment. I mean, we're talking about dollars a month, to then allow the economy and the world to open back up. We protect the people most susceptible, allow those people most susceptible to work virtually. Why not? Allow those people to say, listen, we're going to take care of you. We're not going to forget about you. We're not going to say, oh, you're part of the most susceptible. We need to move on. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to care for our fellow human. That's what we're here to do. We are here to care for our fellow humans. We're on this journey together. And then for those people that may get it and may have mild symptoms, allow the world to then open back up. This is not my decision to make. This is simply what seems like a logical thing to do to allow the greatest good for the greatest number of people, still care for those people that are most susceptible, while not enabling this fair and media-based sensationalism. So, as I said, this will be my last show on this virus for quite some time. I said my piece. Some people will agree. Some people won't. That's okay. And I understand that. I do understand that. I want you to know that if you have a different opinion than me, I completely respect you. 100% I respect your opinion, right? Because no one has all this figured out. And I'm not saying that I have it all figured out either. So I just want you to just keep an open mind. I keep an open mind. I am willing to change as statistics change. And maybe my recommendations in October will be different if things look different then. And I'm certainly open to that. And I just want you to know that I'm just trying to do my best for you. That's it. I'm just trying to be at my best for you. And I see something egregious, and I simply wanted to share. So thank you so much. If the podcast was helpful, as always, please do feel free to share this with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well, finally, is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.